Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the first actual broadcast of Three Crones and the Woo Woo podcast. I am Gayle Nicholson. Right there, oh yeah, that way is Krista Ducharme, and down below we have Joanne Angel Barry Colon. How are you ladies doing today?
Well,
Awesome.
how are you?
Awesome, awesome. Well, I want to actually start this a little bit by kind of framing what we're talking about here and why we feel like we have something to talk about to you, right? All three of us are what you would consider crones. We're old ladies. Old ladies, yes. We have lots and lots of life experiences. And it struck us as pretty amazing that considering how different our backgrounds are, we all have experience with the same kind of woo-woo stuff making magic in our lives. And based on that, I think we all just kind of came together and went, there's something that wants to happen through us. So let me ask Joanne and Krista if they will fill the rest of you in on how I got roped into this. And and the fantastic way that it came together. Joanne, you want to start?
Sure. I'm going to make a really long story short because we only have a certain amount of time.
Right.
I actually was on the phone with Krista, and during our conversation that her and I were having, I was receiving a message from Spirit that she and I were to do some sort of collaboration together. As it became more and more clear, it was a collaboration on a book. And we have the title, but we're going to leave as a mystery for right now, since that seems to be the theme today. And as Krista and I were going through the process of what the collaboration was about, we realized that there was actually a third party involved. And we got really excited, so we had to drag Gayle into it. I'm going to bring Krista in so she can share a little bit about what she felt on the collaboration.
Yeah, so how the phone call with Joanne and I all started was because I was interviewed by Gayle. And so Joanne had seen my interview with Gayle and was like, oh, I need to reach out. And so she did. And as we were talking, all I was getting messages for, Joanne was getting her channelings, I was getting mine. And I'm like, no, this book, it's an effective three. I see this triangle. This is what we're doing. And I said, Gayle, or not Gayle, but Joanne asked me, so who's the third person? I said, well, the only person that you and I have mutual in our lives is Gayle. So we reached out, we being actually Joanne reached out, then I reached out. Next thing we know, it's like, so let's talk about this collaboration of a book. And as we started meeting in the same setting on Zoom for the book, we realized that what we were talking about and how we all expressed it just needed to be shared with the world in something other than a book.
Yeah, because you kind of miss out on the side jokes and the laughter in the book. So I am so utterly thrilled to have been brought together in this, and we all have our, although we all have experience in many, many, many aspects of woo woo, right? We all have our specialties, if you will. So Joanne's tends to be hard to define because she just does everything. But the thing that I go to Joanne for over and over again is basically, where are the planets now and why am I feeling this way? She has this great way of actually like explaining, this is doing this and this is doing this, so watch for this and it'll pass, which usually gets me out of my, oh my God, the world is ending kind of moments. So I want to share all that with you. So we will begin today with Joanne's weekly galactic forecast.
And what a forecast it is. Now, usually when I do a forecast, I usually shuffle cards in front of my audience. But what I did today, to save some time, is I pulled the card asking what the audience and viewers and listeners need to hear, read, and see. And our card today is all about engaged, which is the affirmation. But the number is what struck me funny, which is 27, which is today's date. And in
Perfect.
numerology, the number 2 and 7, when we break it down, is a 9 energy. So rather than going through the whole philosophy of the 2 and 7, because it's important, but not important for right now, the 9 is what's important. And that 9 energy for today, based on today's date, is all about how we are all completing something and transitioning into something else. And that's really when we think about today's energy of today's date. Like I said, it struck me funny that that's the card that popped out, that's what we're all doing today, whether we're aware of it or not. That 27, which is the 9, is helping us to let things go and make space for something new to come in. And ironically, this is our first episode where we're here live talking about what we're talking about. Now, I want you to keep in mind and put this on in the back of your mind just for a moment. The chakra associated with this card is the throat chakra. I'm going to come back to that at the end of before the end of the forecast. So hold that thought on the throat chakra. I'd like to bring your attention to what is actually going on in the cosmic world right now with our planets. And ladies, please hold on to your seats, because I don't want you to fall off and I don't want you to get hysterical on me. And I'm speaking to both Krista and Gayle here, and of course the audience too. Hold on to your seats. So when we think about the planets right now, we just recently went into Scorpio energy with the sun. We've left Libra, and now we're in Scorpio energy. Scorpio happens to be a water sign, which also means that we're in an emotional space right now, but not the same emotion as if we were in Pisces or Cancer. Slightly different, because Scorpio has more like a sting to it. And when we think about Scorpio, and again, remember that number 27, which is the 9. Scorpio's energy is about, again, transforming, letting things die out and birthing something and transforming it. So it works really well with today's date. It's like really amazing. And then let's talk about this moon for today that we're in. And we've been in the setting of the moon since yesterday, which is Pisces energy, which is one of my favorite signs, because that's what I am, Sun Pisces. But Pisces, again, is a water sign. When we think about the moon energy, it's our emotions. So we may be feeling a little more emotional today and yesterday than we were feeling 3 days ago. And that's okay. Allow your emotions to show up, especially because we are in this energy of like things dying off and things transforming into something new. Now, here's some exciting news in reference to some of our planets that are still in retrograde, guys. We have Mercury in retrograde until November 4th. And I find that really, really funny that it's actually retrograde until a day after the elections. So when we think about Mercury, Mercury is about communication. Remember that card I was telling you about, that chakra? Communication. And when we think of Mercury, it's about learning to listen differently when we communicate. And then we have Mars, that's in retrograde. Mars will go direct as of, I have my notes here, as of November 13th. Mars is our planet of war and anger. And it's in Scorpio energy. So when we really start putting things together, it makes sense to why we may very well feel a little angry and like exploding, so to speak. And then I just want to mention one other planet that's in retrograde, because we do have a whole bunch of them in retrograde. Just to sum it all up, I'd like to also speak about our planet of Uranus, which is going to go direct January 14th. We still have a little while. That particular planet is all about who we are on a soul level. That's about the transformations we're undergoing. And let's bring this all together in reference to the chakra I would like to invite you to really work on today is the throat chakra. Learning how to communicate differently with yourself in regards to the things that we say. Because again, I'm a firm believer that what we say, we bring into our reality. So if we're going to say it's an awful day, guess what the universe is going to supply us? An awful day. If we say, wow, this is an amazing day and I'm aligning myself to amazing clients, guess what the universe is going to do? Make it an awesome day and align permanent clients in. So lots of energy there. So guys, that's what I want you to focus on today is your throat chakra, clearing the energy out, staying positive, remembering that when you're communicating and engaging in conversation, the biggest conversation you're having is with yourself. So keep in mind what you're saying to yourself becomes your reality. And that's our forecast for the day.
That's an excellent forecast. Thank you very much, Joanne. I promise I try not to get too hysterical about it. But I'll be honest with you, some of these timings are really interesting with what's going on here in the U.S. That's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep. And as an observer from the I'm in a foreign country. For those of you who don't know this, I'm living in the Netherlands. Yes, I am a U.S. citizen. Yes, we very much are paying attention. And I can tell you with that energy and from the observation of outside looking in, it is very exciting. It's,
yeah. Lots of interesting stuff on the horizon. Now, before we move on to Krista's segment, I want to talk a little bit more about this week and what's coming up, because Halloween, I don't know if Halloween is celebrated all around the world. I just learned this past week that apparently the Netherlands have a different daylight savings schedule than the U.S. does. So I'm very aware of the fact that, I know my little world, but I'm not sure about yours. So I imagine that some form of Halloween is celebrated the world over. This year, Halloween is falling on a full moon. And, does that mean more than just having more light to trick or treat by? Does it mean, what does it mean for a trinity of Crones, and what does it mean for you? Right? So Joanne, let's fill us in.
Yes. Well, let's talk about just Halloween without a full moon. Halloween without a full moon is all about spooky and spells and witches, and it's really a great day for like anyone who's looking to have, let's say, a tarot card reading or a cosmic energy soul reading. It's a great day for that. Now let's top it off with a blue full moon. In addition, it's like, whoa. So if there was anything that anybody was looking to release that may have some resistance on releasing, well, I'm going to say this with the most pain-free way I can say it. But the moon and Halloween on the same day is gonna friggin' knock your socks off, because the energy is so powerful that anything that you were not ready to let go of, and it's time to, it's done. It's done. The moon is gonna be like this. The next day you're gonna be like, well, what the hell happened? Because it is so damn powerful. So that's my take on this amazing moon. It is definitely all, how they say with the kids, when they ring the doorbell for Halloween, trick or treat. Well, I think there's just going to be a lot of tricks going on this weekend. A lot of tricks going on. And I think it's going to carry right over to our elections day. So Lord knows.
That is the weekend of it, and we also do American daylight savings that same weekend, so that's going to throw a little bit of physical world confusion into it all as well. So how about you, Krista? Will you be dancing naked under the full moon?
Well, I think it might be a little chilly for me. I know that you're complaining about it being 66 in Arizona. Yeah, for us, that'd be balmy here. It's a
well, you got the fjords down the road.
It's just, it's a little chilly. But no, seriously, Halloween is, so you were asking how Halloween celebrated globally. And I actually can fill you in a little bit on this. It isn't celebrated the same way as it is in the United States. As with many other things, the United States has, kind of taken it, owned it, and exploded with it, right? However, what's really interesting to know is because different Halloween or All Saints Day and the Day of the Dead, and there are a couple, Samhain and everything else. It all runs pretty much from like October 30th through November 2nd. So depending upon where your location is, and it can be kind of interesting. Here in the Netherlands, and because I'm right at the area where we border with Germany. They're appreciating the American take on Halloween with the costumes and the decorating and everything else. So there are a couple of places that will be, celebrating with trick or treat. But for me, I'm excited because, like Joanne said, it's a full moon and it's a blue moon on Halloween. And you guys in the States, of course, have to add another thing, daylight saving.
Yeah.
Like, really? Can we pile more stuff? Really? This is really exciting.
Right.
And so, yeah.
If we are not crazy enough.
There you go.
Oh, I just had this awful passing thought, and I want to send love and prayers to everybody who works in the medical field in an emergency room for this weekend. Just,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
And
the influx is going to
EMS,
be insane.
Yeah. Oh, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Well, let's set that aside for a second, and let's open up the floor to Krista to tell us about her crystal of the week.
Yes, I am really excited about the crystal of the week. So I'm glad that I get to follow after Joanne and her forecast, because the way I picked our crystal has a lot to do with the fact that we are in Scorpio energy, and that we're in Scorpio energy. And well, it's Scorpio energy like on steroids. Okay, I am a Scorpio. Yes, my birthday's on Thursday, and yes, yay! And I'm very excited, but I can do without all the added energy that's sweeping with it. I'm like, holy mackerel! Since we've switched into the Scorpio energy, it has been a little bit crazy. And you might be hearing my cat too in the background. She's having a little bit of a cat fit at the moment. So the crystal I picked is a smoky quartz.
Beautiful.
And I have two of my smoky quartz. This one happens to be my smoky quartz that's a Lemurian smoky quartz, has striations. And then this one's just isn't he a handsome fellow? He's really handsome.
Gorgeous.
So I picked smoky quartz because it is one that works with Scorpio energy. And it also is really good with the veil being thinner at this time, because the closer we get to Samhain and the Day of the Dead, Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, our veil between this world and other planes thins out. And so it makes it easier for some people to feel other energies that aren't planet related. So, well, we can go down a ghost story a day, another, with that further if we would like. But it also is a really great one if you're somebody who's wanting to connect with your ancestors or like a grandparent. Because what it's really good at doing, the smoky quartz, is keeping your energy calm and protecting your energy. So it is, with everything that's going on right now, I really get a sense that we all could use a little bit of calm and a lot of protection.
Agreed.
Yes.
Because, and we've discussed this among the three of us, where yes, we need to vibrate responsibly, and I refer to our energy when I'm referring to that. However, we can't control other people's energy now, can we?
Actually,
And
I want to add to that because of an experience that I had with Smoky Quartz, right?
okay, yeah.
Um, here's my baby. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see it or not, but it's got a little bit of an angel crack, like you know how it
yeah.
reflects to the rainbow. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so one of my mentors a long time ago, that knew the troubles that myself and my husband at the time were having, told me get a piece of smoky quartz and put it, like just kind of tuck it in a room where you guys spend most of your time together, which was the dining room. And put it on the
Mm-hmm.
china cabinet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it would calm us both down so that we could discuss the hard things we needed to discuss without it devolving into a shouting match and calling names. So I maintain that you can change the energy of your space, which can change other people's energy at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, in
That is true.
certain circumstances.
That is a true, yes, and that is I when used in that way, yes, you can change it.
Yeah.
And and we don't want to tell my kids this or my husband, but that's one reason why I do use crystals so much.
Awesome. Now, if you would like to get your own piece of smoky quartz, the Three Crones highly recommend that you reach out to everythingjustrocks.com and tell Athena that the Three Crones sent you, because she's got for those of us who have bought crystals before, you want to touch them, you want to feel them, right? You cameras don't do justice to the beauty of a crystal that like your eyes can reveal. But Athena has this process where you can schedule an actual like FaceTime call, and she can walk around the shop and show you particular crystals. No more going to a website and going to order a crystal and oh, sorry, that one's sold out because there was only the one that was shown in the picture. You could actually choose out your crystal with Athena on the phone, or on the video phone. So please reach out to everythingjustrocks.com. Tell Athena that the Three Crones sent you, and get your own piece of smoky quartz, to help calm your environment.
Mm,
Yes. Awesome. Awesome
love
stuff.
them.
Now,
Awesome.
before I get into my segment, I want to talk a little bit about, it's pumpkin spice season, ladies. What does that mean for you?
It means I'm missing my pumpkin spice lattes. That's what it means to me.
Okay,
But
gotcha. Joanne, what does it mean for you?
I don't know if it really means much for me, as much as it might mean for all of you, because I don't think it really means much, other than I know that when I walk into, let's say, an essential oil store or a candle shop, and during holiday season, it just smells really nice in a candle or incense or even essential oil. So it does have a beautiful fragrance to it.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, here's the thing. I've been doing an awful lot of baking lately. And cinnamon and nutmeg, pumpkin spice, those two things combined together, um,
Mhm.
come up an awful lot in the cooking of the harvest
Mhm.
that's been harvested, right? And a whole cascade of thoughts kept going through my head about one thing. First of all, I used to be a member of the Church of Today, and at one point in time, Marianne Williamson was the spiritual leader there. And she said something from the DS once that stuck with me forevermore. And she said the word witch actually means wise woman. Okay?
Mhm.
The wise women of hundreds and hundreds of years ago would have their little place in the woods They would have all of these different herbs and stuff that they could harvest to put into food for their medicinal properties. And that got me wondering, okay, so what's the magic about cinnamon and nutmeg? Well, wow. Now, like Joanne just said, it's really nice to walk into a shop and they're burning cinnamon incense and it smells so warm and fuzzy. We've heard that for men, cinnamon and vanilla can be an aphrodisiac, right? Well, what's cinnamon for? Protection, prosperity, and passion. Ooh, interesting. And then what's nutmeg for? Good luck and health and attract prosperity. So it would make sense that we would take the harvest and we would put these little bits of powder into that solution, that mixture, and cook it up to celebrate the Thanksgiving, right?
Definitely.
So by all means, there's all kinds of other stuff too to look into about what we've been told about witches and what might actually be true, right? So these wise old crones knew the magic of feeding you things that would increase your health, increase your prosperity. And speaking for all three of us, I hope that that's what we're concocting together here going forward.
Definitely.
A little bit of prosperity for you all, a little bit of protection, a little bit of bump up in health. And maybe it'll come through laughter because, there's plenty of that here. All right, so let me get into, I've avoided my segment long enough. Let's get into that and we will talk about my creativity. Today's word is abracadabra. Oh, yes! Krista's got her witchy hat on. I love it. Awesome. Okay, so abracadabra. I remember, and maybe you guys did, or you ladies did this too, running around as a little kid and, you'd make magic and you'd be, abracadabra, it appears, right? And it's so much fun. And it was probably decades later before I found out that's not just nonsense. It's not just nonsense. And this was before J.K. Rowling showed up on the scene. But it's actually an Aramaic word that means, do you guys know?
I do, but I forgot.
It means I will create as I speak. Right? So our words have enormous power, as Joanne was alluding to at the beginning of the show, that we should take care what words that we use because they actually do create in our reality. There's a reason it's called spelling.
Oh, you mean it has nothing to do with actually putting letters together to form words?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So, just remember the word for this week being abracadabra. That is actually the way it's pronounced in Aramaic. My accent may be off, but it's not abracadabra. It's been shifted to take the magic out in common usage. So, use the right word for what you actually mean. And spend some time this weekend just playing with that word, abracadabra, and see what appears.
See what spells we can come up with.
Exactly.
Especially on Halloween.
Yes. Excellent. All right, ladies. Now, we are free for all. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, with us, it can go anywhere, but I guess we need to keep it PG, right?
Yes.
Let me check with our sponsor on that. Well, let's talk a minute about a little bit of your specialties other than the segments that we've talked about so far today. Krista, let's start with you because you don't just do crystals. What
No, I
else? What else
don't.
are your favorite ways to express your witchy wiseness?
I'm a healer. So my witchy wiseness all really comes through healing. And I've gone down a path of using Reiki. And what brought me to that path and my connection is actually a connection I have within Japan itself. So I was walking on sacred Reiki grounds long before I
Wow.
even had heard the word.
Wow.
And it was kind of really cool. So when I finally learned about it, like, so the first time it was in 2009 when I heard about it, and I had left Japan in 1994. So I lived in Japan from 1990 to 1994. So, there was a long period where I had no clue about it. So yeah, so I went down the path first of gaining my witchy wiseness, as I love the way you just said that, Gayle. Beyond crystals, because I've been using crystals long before that. I like since I was a little girl, but I met one of my soul sisters, and she is an amazing, amazing person. And have you ever met somebody and you meet them and it's like this light switch flips on? It's like you didn't realize you're walking around in the dark, right? You don't realize it's like all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I've been walking with blinders on or shades over my eyes and I'm only seeing like this, right? Yeah, so I met my sister, my soul sister Miranda, and that was her big thing is Reiki. I mean, it's again like all of us, many different layers, many different gifts. And from the second she explained what Reiki was, it was like this. I always say this is so cheesy, but it was like this choir of angels, the sky opens up and this light beams on me. It was, I'm telling you, it sounds cheesy as all get out. I know every time I tell the story how cheesy it sounds, but I'm like, I can't make this stuff up. Well, yeah, no, I'm just not that creative. However, yeah, I went down that road in learning Reiki. Miranda wasn't my Reiki master teacher. I ended up that became a journey unto itself. And I think that just led me and opened my path up to many other things, and actually forcing me to really acknowledge and tap into my own intuition, my own knowing, and understanding that long before I start working with somebody, I'm already connected. If that's the person I'm supposed to work with, the minute, I always tell people or my clients, whether it's client or student, if you've put out that you're looking for me, yeah, I'm already connected to you before we meet.
Nice.
Because it's like, yep, it just comes. And so, yeah. And there are many other things, like you guys know, it's a building block. You work with different things and
right.
yeah,
Now,
and it grows.
Joanne, you do Reiki too, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
That is probably one thing that we all do have in common because I also do Reiki and am a Reiki master. But Joanne, you do more than just Reiki.
I sure
Didn't
do.
and you just got certified in a new modality a week or two ago, didn't you?
I sure did.
Tell us. Keep your
Yes,
light
well,
under a bushel, lady, I'm telling
I
you.
know, really, I swear it. It's gonna just burst through anyway. Well, to start off with, I mean, I have 30 plus years as a certified personal trainer. Everybody knows me as a trainer, the personal trainer. And I'd say back in 2007, this door opened and where I was introduced to Reiki, I was introduced to crystals. It's like it all happened like within weeks of each other. And at first, it was just mainly for me. It was all about my evolution, my transition, and me healing me. And then one day, just randomly, I sat and heard through spirit that I'm supposed to be taking all of those different modalities, as I like to call it, my witches modalities, and I'm supposed to put it with my personal training services. And I was just like, huh? I'm supposed to blend this in? Took me a little while to get there and understand how, but I finally figured out the how. And I had met this one woman back in, I think, 2011, whom sat with me. She did a card reading with me, and she goes, "You really need to bring in some reflexology." And I'm like, huh? She goes, "Yes, it would be great for what you do." I'm like, where does that fit into what I'm doing? But long story short, it just kept like in the back of my head every so often. And I decided, well, you know what? Maybe I'll do it one day. And surely enough, the one day came about 2 weeks ago. No, actually longer than that. A couple of weeks back, started on the course, and it was as though I've already done reflexology in my past life, because I took a chance and took the exam before actually reading the work, which is weird.
Retest.
Okay.
I took it before reading the work, and I said, you know what? I asked them, like, how many times can you take the test should you not pass it the first time? And they're like, you have 3 times, and after the 3rd time, you pay for it. I was like, okay. So randomly, I just sat down and took the test, and I got like a 95 on the test. I'm like, oh, I guess I don't have to retake the test, because 95 was good for me. But I did go and reread the material and then watch the videos that required. So at least I would know what the hell I'm doing when I'm doing a reflexology session. I don't just want the certificate on the wall. I want to know what the hell I'm doing. So with my personal training services, when clients come looking for me, it's not that they're just looking for a regular personal trainer. They're looking for a personal trainer that, as I like to call myself, a holistic trainer. I focus on the entire body, and I actually set spells. I will sit with the client and figure out what's going on with them intuitively, what's going on the deeper portion of them, and how to really help them release the issues from their tissues. So it's not just about them getting into a size 2 pair of jeans or their wedding dress, which is important, but it's not just about that. It's really going deeper into what their sole purpose is, and how exercise has a whole lot to do with all of our modalities, and getting into that space of, the Reiki, the witchcraft, crystals. So that's what I do.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, I was talking with a friend on Facebook earlier today, and one of the modalities that she uses is access consciousness, and they've got this amazing clearing statement that it sounds like gibberish, but it works. And she was telling me that she was talking to a potential client, and they got very put off by it. They're like, "That's witchcraft." And she's like, "Okay." Tried to explain it to her a number of different ways, and she was just like, "No, I'm not comfortable with that. That's witchcraft." So my friend went ahead and did the Reiki treatment on her after all. Yeah, but not the access consciousness clearing statement. It's funny what people will grow up thinking is witchcraft. Because now, for example, I grew up in a rainbows and promises Christian home. Jesus was my best friend. Jesus loves all the little children, right? And I don't mean that to sound like I disrespected. I don't. But I grew up in that home that witches were evil, witches were bad, all of that kind of stuff. And then you get to a certain age and you're going, but this is all the stuff I like. This is all the stuff I'm good at. What's going on here? And for lack of, or at the risk of sounding conspiracy theory-ish or whatever, over hundreds and hundreds of years, society has been gaslit about the power of the feminine. And we've had to succumb to the dumb blonde stereotype so that we don't threaten anybody. All the while going, yeah, I'm not so dumb, kind of thing.
You got to be the wild redhead.
Right? Oh yeah. If you
Or
believed
the
my
silver
dad,
fox.
yeah. I mean, if you believed my father, redheads were dangerous, right? They're dangerous,
Well,
Yeah.
Never know. Yeah,
So-
never know.
Right. So I guess my point is to our audience, keep an open mind, and play with it. What the things are that actually are our mother nature at work have been called witchcraft so that we feel scared about our power. Stop it. Don't do that no more. Right?
well,
No.
it's fear-based. I mean, if we think about it, it's all just fear-based. It's so one of the things as I started my journey, I was born and raised Catholic, and very much, I was a CCD teacher. I, went to church. I was very active within the church and the community. And as I started my spiritual path and my spiritual journey, part of what really propelled me through this was the fact that I've had I've had so many global experiences living around the world, seeing different religions, not just the one that I was raised in. And it's written in one of my journals, and I wrote down that religion was created by men to control man, specifically woman. And for me, because it was just what you were saying, it's the divine power of the feminine. Think about the way that women have been described, and that energy is being, tempting. It's all about temptation. It's, a lack of control. And it's like, it's not our lack of control as women, and it's not us being tempted as much as it's the man. You know what I mean? And so it was really, it's all fear-based. And the more I've learned about just the history behind so much of it, the more you just begin to realize just how the fear has controlled so many of us for so long. And one of the things you were talking about, I do access consciousness as well. And so I absolutely love the clearing statement, which is amazing. But I don't want to confuse that with abracadabra, because that's such a powerful statement this week. But an acronym to think about when you think about fear, all it is false evidence appearing real. And I remember the first time I ever heard that acronym, I was like, wow, that's the most freeing thing I think that I've ever heard. I just remember sitting there going, wow. I rarely am I rendered speechless. That was one of those moments.
I love it. Bless you.
Thank you.
So I do want to throw in a disclaimer. This is not the She-Ra man-hating club. We don't hate men.
No, we don't hate men.
And I know you don't. I'm kind of letting the audience know. We don't hate men because women have been subjugated for thousands of years and have our power stripped from us. We actually go, oh, okay, over here. And that's part of the power of femininity, because we don't necessarily have to react directly back. Feminine power is insidious, and it works its way through regardless of what the appearance is on the outside. I just wanted to put that in there because, Krista, I know you are not a man-hater. Joanne, I know you are not a man-hater. I get some issues, but I generally like them as a whole. But at any rate, let's dip this last few minutes into Halloween's coming up. What's your best ghost story, ladies? Krista? No, Joanne, you haven't talked in a while. You start.
A ghost story. I don't think I have a ghost story. That's so sad.
Do? Yes, you do.
You do too.
I do. I have several now that I think about it.
Time out 1 second. This is a lady who consults her mother who passed away how many years ago?
9 years ago.
You don't have a ghost story.
I'm like, yeah, you do.
Well, it's just so interesting because I don't think of that as ghost stories, but yes, they are ghost stories. Yes. I am a firm believer in ghost stories as I communicate every single day, every day with spirit. It's like, it's not a moment that goes by. So very quickly, so then Krista can share hers as well. In my place of business, I have a little girl that I think she's anywhere between the age of 6 to like 8 years old. She never ages, and she's the most cutest little thing. And she walks up and down the stairs, and all I hear is these little footsteps. And one day, I was actually in my lower area of my business, and I was getting ready to do a low impact class. I was getting ready to put the music on, and I started hearing the little steps, and I invited her to come join me. And she sort of just stopped, big eyes, because I can see her too. And I said, come, I'll move over, and you can have your space, and you can follow or do your own thing, whatever you choose. And she was happy as one can be, big old smile. And there the two of us were doing the low impact class that I did. And her little feet were just do. She never comes up to the second floor, to the first floor rather. She's down in the lower level, but she's the cutest, most sweetest little girl I've ever seen. And many people who know that she's here gets a little nervous when she's here. They're like, is she here today? I'm like, she's here all the time. Not just today, she's here all the time. And I have so much fun with her. So that's my little ghost story. And I'm sure she'll be out for Halloween because she usually does come out on Halloween. I'm trying to encourage her to come up the stairs and like literally come onto the first floor with me, but I don't think that's going to work. I think she just likes to stay downstairs. But yeah, that's my ghost story. A fun and exciting one.
Yeah. I love that story. Krista?
Okay, so I'm going to tell my ghost story, and it's actually a bit more spooky because this is one of my ghost stories, and it actually is a poltergeist. So I grew up living in Scotland, and we would stay at a bed and breakfast when we were transferring in, and then when we would transfer out. My dad was in the Navy. And as we were getting ready to leave Scotland for the last time and transfer out to go back to the United States, I was old enough to have a room of my own, or to share a room, just my sister and I. And there were 3 levels to this bed and breakfast, and we knew the owners very well, and, really good family friends. And this house, we knew from previous times of staying there, it had 2 ghosts. And they were a couple. It had the husband, who is the poltergeist, and it had his wife, whose name happens to be Catherine. His name is James. And they haunted separate spaces in the house. And my younger sister and I, we got to have a room on the 3rd floor. And Maggie, who's the owner of the bed and breakfast, her and her husband owned it, she was reluctant to put my sister and I up there. But since her son was going to be he was up there as well, she's like, well, at least I know that you'll have somebody up there with you guys. It's not just you by yourselves, because the bed and breakfast was a little empty, because the 3rd floor is where James haunted. He haunted the 3rd floor, and he haunted the kitchen. And so I was getting ready. I know, really, it's a very bizarre thing. So in life, James was a very evil man. they had the whole history of who this person was, and he just was not this very nice person. And so I went upstairs. I was getting ready for school and I had forgotten something. So I had to run up to the third floor and get it. So I'm upstairs on the third floor and I do not remember what it was that I had to get. And this is in the 80s. So I had this boom box that I bought. I saved up all my babysitting money. You remember those days, right? When you save your babysitting money, right? Yeah. And I bought this awesome boom box. I was very proud of my boom box. And it was up there and it was, but it was off because I was getting ready to go to school. And I'm getting whatever it is I had to get. And all of a sudden my boom box turns on. And that static of the in between radio stations, that white noise. Well, it was on the white noise and my volume went full blast. Now I'm on one side of the room. My boombox is on the other side of the room. I start screaming. I'm screaming so loud, and there are fire doors on each level, which are solid wood in this heavy, heavy glass, that they could hear me all the way down in the kitchen. The kitchen was on the first floor. I'm on the third floor with 3 fire doors between us. And I am screaming and I am running because my boombox turns on all by itself and the volume went up.
Yeah.
I did not shut it off. I'm not sure who shut it off, but I can tell you my sister and I decided that we did not need to spend any more time on the third floor after that. Yeah,
wow.
James, that was one of the nicer things that he did. But yeah, he was quite a interesting character.
Well, I have a ghost story too. Not as exciting as that. Not nearly as exciting as that. But about an occupant that also lived in my house, just like the two of you. And I'm going to tell this story a little bit different than I told the both of you a couple weeks ago. In that, I'm just going to start by telling you my side of it, my view of it. All right. My mom was having some work done to her office. Now, her office was the upstairs of our house. Across the one room was a library, and then there was her main space. And she was having one of our friends who was a carpenter knock down the half wall and create a recessed bookshelf next to her desk. Okay, great. So, great guy. He's there for a couple of days doing work. And I'm in the dining room when I see him come down the stairs, ticked off. I mean, he was hot. He was mad. And he yells into the kitchen where my mother was, "When you can get him to leave my stuff alone, I'll be back." And I'm confused. I'm like 13, 14 years old. I'm like, whatever. Right? And go off back into my room to do whatever I was doing. That night, while I'm sleeping, I open my eyes and I see a figure at the end of my bed. Older man, lumberjack plaid shirt, white, well-cut hair, just sitting on the end of my bed watching me. And it was one of those things where you go, is this real? Right? Sandman's in your eyes and you blink. And I blinked once and he was still there. I blinked a second time and he was gone. Right? So in the morning I get up, I go out to the kitchen. "Hey Mom, good morning. How you doing?" She's like, "How'd you sleep?" And I said, "I slept okay, but it was weird. I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw this man sitting on the end of my bed." And she said, "Oh, that's Claude. He's fine." And I went, "What?" Yeah, remember, I'm like 13, 14 years old. There's a man living in my house that I don't know about? What's going on here? And she told me what she had done. After our friend, the carpenter, left, she went into meditation and asked her group of guides, what's going on? And she heard the words, Claude, come forth. And she saw an image of a man in jeans, a lumberjack plaid shirt, distinguished, maybe 50s, 60s years old, white hair, well groomed. And as it turns out, Claude was one of the people that built the house that I lived in. And he was concerned because somebody was in there breaking down the walls that he put up. Now, I didn't find out until she explained all this to me. Our carpenter was so mad because he would be doing something. He'd set down his hammer and he wouldn't move from that spot. But when he went to reach for his hammer, it was 6 to 8 feet away across the room. So through my guides, my mother explained to Claude that we were improving the house, not ruining the house. And the carpenter came back, finished the job, and never had another problem.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, frequently, I'm sure that there are people that have had these experiences occur, and they either try to rationalize it out or just deny it ever happening. We all have that ability to talk the reality out of it. So yeah, it's fun to share these stories so we can compare not just our stories with ourselves, but with others. So you can compare and contrast and see, hey, have you ever had that happen to you?
Right.
Yeah.
And along those lines, I would like to invite all of you, speaking for the 3 Crones as a whole, give us your ghost story in the comments. Tell us your ghost story. That'll be awesome. All right, ladies, thank you so much for completing the Trinity with me. Thank you very much for all of your contribution here today. I want to encourage our guests to reach out to our sponsor, everythingjustrocks.com. Tell Athena that the 3 Crones sent you, and find something really spectacular for yourself. And also, please tell your friends. Watch us everywhere. We are on Strong Island TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, GayleNicholson.com, and Strong Island Radio Network as well. So you can pick up the 3 Crones just about anywhere. All righty. Thanks so much, everyone. You guys have a great, great week.